Hello and welcome to the Tomatobob YouTube channel. My name is Ben and today I'm going to talk to you about saving pumpkin seeds. For this presentation and for this video, we were saving sugar pie pumpkins, so I wanted to walk you through this, and I've got some pictures to show you. So, like many things these days, sugar pie pumpkins, or pumpkins in general, especially around October, harvest season, Halloween's coming up, they get pretty expensive. So I was at a big box store the other day and I noticed they had a bunch of pie pumpkins, which I'm, very similar to sugar pie, I would imagine. And I walked up just to see how much they were, and I was kind of shocked to see they were going for $4.98 a piece. Now, the one plant that we grew of sugar pie pumpkins this year yielded 7 good-sized pumpkins. So that from that one plant, according to these prices, we had almost $35 in produce that we avoided by growing one plant. And it was pretty easy to grow. It just took off. But anyway, I wanted to show you this just to show you that growing one plant and saving the seeds and growing them next year can save you a substantial amount of money. So the first things you're going to need are your tools. For our example, we had a cutting board, large, I think that's a chef's knife, I'm not a cook, a spoon, the pumpkin, and some kind of mesh screen. It's not super important what it's made of. You could use window screening, you could use stainless steel. The important thing is that you have some kind of holes, as you can see, to spread the seeds out and let airflow get underneath the seeds while you're drying them. The drying is really important because you don't want the moisture to be trapped on the seeds and then possibly be a moisture source for mold to grow in the future, or while you got your seeds in storage. So first things first, you cut open the pumpkin. Now with a small pumpkin like a sugar pie, it's pretty straightforward. You can see I just cut it in half. With larger pumpkins, you can always go ahead and cut the entire pumpkin in half, similar to this. That actually works pretty well. It gives you really easy access to all the seeds and all the innards of the pumpkin. Now once you have it cut open, you're going to want to take your spoon, putting the spoon in. So you see on the left side, that's with most of the stuff scooped out. Still a little goop in there, but all the seeds we got out. And on the right side, we're just starting that process again. And once you have everything out in your bowl or on your tray, you want to sort out the seeds from the flesh, the goop, the stuff that the seeds are being held up inside the pumpkin. And the reason this is important is we're going to have to wash the seeds in a couple steps, and then, like I mentioned before, if we don't separate this goop, then we're going to potentially run into mold problems and storage problems down the road. So definitely get them as much separated as you can. You can see in the picture on the right, there's still some goop down on them, but that'll come off in the rinsing process, so don't worry about that. Now this picture got a little stretched out, but what I wanted to show here, if you see the seeds in the bottom right corner, they're all good, healthy, viable seeds. And then up in the top left, that's a good, healthy, viable seed as well. But you will find some pumpkins, especially if you harvest them a little earlier. Maybe they're starting to ripen, or maybe they haven't completely finished ripening when you pick them. Which, if you're growing into the frost, you might want to go that route. There are going to be some seeds that are either have not formed at all, or just aren't fully formed. So you can see on the right, there's one that there's nothing in. It's paper thin. It's not very rigid, and you can tell that's not going to grow. there's the seed's just not viable. And same with the one on the left there. It's partially formed, but just not fully formed. So try to separate those ones out. If you don't get them all, no worries. But when you go to plant using these seeds, maybe next season or in a couple of seasons, I would not plant those because I don't believe they will produce. So you can see here now, so we've taken all of our seeds, we've removed all the goop, we've washed them thoroughly and try to get as much stuff off them as we can, so it's just the seeds. And now we've got them, like I mentioned before, spread out on this tray. Now they're spread out, and we try to get them so they're not really touching each other. Get them as much space as you possibly can for the air to circulate around them and dry them off thoroughly. You can have some overlap. That's not usually a problem. What I see is maybe they stick together a little bit. Not a problem at all. So when they're done drying, I'll usually go through and just use my hand and stir them up and break them apart before I put them into bags. What I like to do is raise the tray up off the ground so you can see there's some good airflow underneath. I'm just using a couple pieces of 2x4s in the garage, and then I set the fan on the lowest possible speed. You don't need a lot of airflow, you just need the air to be moving. And I'll leave it here for a day, especially if it's warmer out. A day usually will dry them out nicely. If it's colder, sometimes you may need a day and a half, but just come out and check them and see how they're doing. You'll know pretty quickly if they need to dry a little bit more or if they're ready to package up. And after drying, you can take all your seeds and can break them up with your hand, make them nice and loose, and then you put them in a bag, put them in a jar. I threw them in a sandwich bag that I had. I took a Sharpie and I just wrote Sugar Pie Pumpkin. You can also write the date, harvested in 2022. I will say, long-term storage in a Ziploc bag like this is probably not the best idea. If you're looking to save seeds for a while, I would suggest going either with something sealed with desiccant inside to absorb the oxygen. Mylar bags are a great option. There are more long-term solutions than a Ziploc bag. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye now.